The telescope. What is the telescope? Are there any types? Who discovered the first telescope? What might have been the history of telescope? Countless such questions remains in my mind. So in today's video, we will try to get the answer to these questions. So I am Shashank S Nawalkar from SSN Astronomy, and without wasting in time, let's start it. The story of the telescope starts from glassmaker Hans Repelsi. Hans Repelsi from Netherlands invented the world's first telescope. He recorded his invention in 1608. Basically, he is a glassmaker. By adjusting two lenses one by one, he found something wonderful. He noticed that by such arrangement of lenses, he is able to see the distant object nearer, and this is where the concept of telescope started. In 1609, Sir Galileo Galilei constructed his own telescope using the lenses and started exploring the universe. But his telescope has one major demerit. Although one can see Jupiter with its 4 moons, but its image is somewhat fuzzy due to the use of lenses. Also, the focal length of object to lens is very large, which makes the entire length of telescope very large. Galileo's original telescope uses the object to lens of focal length 1330 mm with 51 mm of aperture. It has a potential of magnification of about 30 times. Galileo's first telescope, made in mid-1609, magnifies the object 3 times, but he redefined the design to increase the magnification 8 times and eventually 30 times. His telescope has a field of view of about 15 inches in 100 yards, meaning only 1/4 of moon can be seen. The Sun, Jupiter with its 4 largest satellites, and the phases of planet Venus were the general observations made by him. To overcome all these difficulties, Sir Isaac Newton did research, and the result was that if we use spherical mirror, especially concave or parabolic mirror, then he will able to overcome all the difficulties. By using the spherical mirrors, concave or parabolic as objective and plane mirror as secondary, we are able to view clear images. In 1668, Newton finally built his telescope. Newton's first version has a primary mirror of diameter 1.3 inches or 33 millimeters and focal ratio of f/2. His telescope is nearly 6.25 inches long, with an eyepiece made up of plano-convex lens with a probable focal length of 4.5 mm. One can able to achieve 35 times magnification. Due to the use of mirrors, the telescope worked without color distortion. The phenomenon of color distortion is scientifically known as chromatic aberration, and since then the development have taken place in both Galilean telescope and Newtonian telescope, and continues to happen in future also. So here is the complete history of telescope. So let's move in the next part of this video, which is the type of telescopes. Basically, the telescopes are classified into 2 types: refracting telescope and reflecting telescope. Briefly, telescopes are also classified into other types, but these all come into these 2 types, that is refracting and reflecting only. So let's take a brief information about reflecting and refracting telescope. The refracting telescope, also known as the refractor, is an optical telescope that uses lenses to bend the light from space to form an image. They use a refractive property of lenses to magnify the object. In common refractor, mostly the achromatic lenses are used as primary or objective lenses. Achromatic lenses are basically the collection of lenses. Collection in a sense, these are the combination of convex lens and concave lens. Due to use of such arrangement or the combination of lenses, the phenomenon named chromatic aberration can be reduced. The working principle of such telescope is simple. When a light from an object passes through the objective or primary lens, it gets converged at a single point known as the focus. When an eyepiece is adjusted toward this focus point, an image will form. The refracting telescope is also again subdivided into two types: achromatic telescope and apachromatic telescope. The main difference between the two is the quality of objective lens in correcting the chromatic aberration. So, this is all about refracting telescope. Now, let's take a brief information about reflecting telescope. Basically, the reflecting telescope are the telescope which uses spherical mirrors to magnify the object. Parabolic mirror is used as an objective. One can also use concave mirror in place of parabolic mirror, but there is a quite difference in the resultant magnified image. The basic difference between the concave mirror and the parabolic mirror is that the parabolic mirror focuses all the light rays in an incoming collimate light beam to a diffraction limit spot. On the other hand, the concave spherical mirror concentrates the incoming collimate light into the volume larger than diffraction limit spot. In short, the parabolic mirror focuses all the incoming light rays at a single point, whereas concave mirror unable to focus all the light rays at a single point. So, the resultant image formed by the concave mirror is not that much sharp. The working principle of reflecting telescope is similar to that of refracting telescope. The light rays from an object falls on an objective mirror or the parabolic mirror of a reflecting telescope. Due to law of reflection of spherical mirrors, it gets converged at a single point known as the focus. After this first reflection, the reflected light rays once again got reflected by the secondary mirror. The secondary mirror is a small, flat mirror that serves to move the image formed by the primary to the side of the tube, where it is viewed with an eyepiece. After this second reflection, the light rays finally get refracted by an eyepiece and observer get a clear image. Newtonian telescope is the best example of reflecting telescope. The reflecting telescope is further classified into two types: Newtonian telescope and Cassegrain telescope. The factor that differentiate these two telescopes is their optical design. In Newtonian telescope, the light enters the telescope through a primary mirror located at the bottom of optical tube. The light is then reflected to the secondary mirror, which directs it out of the side of the telescope tube to an eyepiece for an observation. On the other hand, when we talk about Cassegrain telescope, the light enters the telescope and it is reflected by the primary mirror at the bottom of optical tube. The light is then reflected by the secondary mirror back through the hole in the center of primary mirror to an eyepiece located behind the primary mirror. These two telescopes can also be differentiated on the basis of focal length. Newtonian telescope typically have shorter focal length than Cassegrain telescope. Both the telescope have center obstruction created by the secondary mirror, but the obstruction in Cassegrain telescope is smaller as compared to Newtonian telescope, which can lead to better contrast and image quality. Newtonian telescope provide an upright and non-inverted image, which can be useful for terrestrial observation. On the other hand, Cassegrain telescope produce an inverted image, which is common for astronomical telescope. So, this is all about refracting and reflecting type of telescope. Apart from refracting and reflecting telescope, there is also one type of telescope, which is the combination of both refracting telescope and reflecting telescope. Such type of telescope is known as catadioptric telescope. Basically, catadioptric telescope are the optical telescope that uses both the lenses and mirrors to create an image. They combine the best feature of refracting telescope and reflecting telescope and has blazed with wider field of view and better aberration correction than all other telescope. This catatriotic telescope is further categorized into two types: Smith-Cassegrain telescope and Mascatow-Cassegrain telescope. So, this is all about the telescope. I hope you found this video informative and enjoyable. Please do like and share this video. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe the channel and turn on the bell icon. And thank you for watching this video.